14th segment in the introduction to Kabbalah and Mysticism of Redzin, presented to you by the Rabbi of Karl Bachishbitz, your humble servant Buzaglo. The only way you can really learn is if you become as humble as the dust. And what's the sign of a humble man? Somebody who is insulted and does not respond. So, I'm not inviting people to insult me. I don't enjoy it at all. Nobody likes to be insulted. But if somebody can hold back from responding with anger and proceed to respond with wisdom and with chesed, kindness, then he is in fact an anav. And the Talmud promises, the Talmud is a divinely inspired text that is the basis of Jewish life and the secret of our eternity. The Talmud promises that somebody holds back their anger when they're being shouted at or insulted, and responds with silence. He indeed will have a miracle performed for him. So you have to be very careful about who you learn from, because there are some people who have a lot of knowledge, but they have very little midas. They have very little, they don't act in the proper way. So, without Hashem, we all have what to work on. And that's why we came into the world. We're talking about the Merkava B'Chezkel. I'd just like to share some of the classic commentary of Rabbi Shalom Buzaglo, the first great commentary on the Zohar after the Arizal, which is based on the teachings of Lurianic Kabbalah. And he says about the four faces that first let's talk about what does it mean that the supernal tree, the supernal and holy tree, which we described in the previous two segments ago as the 10 spheres, connection between man and God. And we noted that we do not pray to the spheres, or we do not pray to any created being, we only pray to the source of all, the one God, the infinite one, the transcendent one, the one who gave us the Torah at Mount Sinai and forged an eternal covenant with us that we are keeping to this day. That part of his creation were angels and worlds beyond worlds and worlds within worlds, and the Sphirot, the vessels that contain light, God's light, different vessels. There's entirely spiritual entities, vessels containing light, and they are the medium through which God runs the world. We don't see the Sphirot. We don't smell them, we don't taste them. They're not physical, they're spiritual entities. But they are the essence of everything in the world. And the arrangement of the 10 spheres is described as a tree. So the phrase in the Zohar is the holy, supernal tree was sealed with a seal. The Rabbi Buzaglo in the Mikdash Melech, Mikdash Melech is the name of his commentary on the Zohar, the Book of Splendor. The commentary on the Zohar, and the Zohar is the commentary on the Torah. Zohar is a part of the Torah. It's all Torah. Everything is in the Torah. And he says that the sealing with a seal was the supernal tree, holy tree that was sealed with a seal. It's in other words, the 12 permutations of God's name. God's name has 4 letters, and those of you who know can look in the Siddur, a Sfard Siddur, Tfilat Kol Peh, very readily available in your local synagogue or Beit Midrash, and you can see after, just before Musaf, the additional service of the new moon, Rosh Chodesh, that the Sfard Siddur of Tfilat Kol Peh and some other Siddurim, they print the 12 permutations of God's name. And each one of the months is run through one of these permutations. So for instance, the month of Nisan The first month is the permutation of, in order, the name of God in order, Yud, K, Vav, K. And I say K instead of Hey. It's really a Hey, but we respect God's name and we protect it. And nobody really knows how to pronounce God's name today. And someday a prophet will arise who will teach the high priest and the priests in the temple and how to pronounce God's name in the proper way. However, we have different names of God, and the whole, just like God runs the world through the medium of the Sfirot, and how God, the one and only God, runs the world also through the medium of the letters of the Torah, and all the permutations of letters and the holy names, and through the angels, these intelligences, these forces. Intelligences without bodies, they're not physical, they're spiritual beings. Everyone knows an angel can't be seen. They're felt. And angels are messengers that do God's will. They either bring information back to God or bring information from God down to man. They say that a grass doesn't grow in the fields if an angel doesn't strike it and say grow. Holy Talmud. So the Rabbi Buzaglo continues, Kativ Demut Pnei Pnei Adam. The form of their faces with the face of a man. We don't read the version, there's a different version of the Zohar which we don't read in this edition. It says, Kativ V'hashta Mefarish Arba Machanot Shechina. And now we will explain the 4 camps of the Divine Presence. We don't say that in our edition. What are the 4 camps of the Divine Presence? Requires further study. It must have something to do with the 4 angels, the 4 sides, the 4 faces of the Merkava. Each of the faces in the chariot, the angels on the sides of the chariot, have 4 faces. Meaning that even though that there's the face of an ox and the face of an eagle and the face of a lion, still it was a look, meaning the look of an ox, not the face, but the look. It had a look, haba'at shor v'nesher. Means still, it was always the face of a man. In other words, each of the faces was basically a man's face, like we said in the previous segment. And we can see that elsewhere in the Zohar, and also in the writings of Rabbi Chaim Vital. The 4 faces face the four corners of the world, 4 directions, north, south, east, and west, meaning that each one of the 4 included 4. Each one included 4. So when you looked at the face to the south, which is the face of Michael, the archangel, or to the north, the face of Gabriel, it was the face of man, and the face of man had also the face of the eagle and the face of the ox and the face of the lion within it.